For Off the Block, I'm Van Lopes, and I am now joined by Penn State men's volleyball coach Mark Pavlik. And Coach, we had the Chicago Cubs end their championship drought. I guess a drought of sorts for Penn State with the program that you have built is now over, as you guys once again win the EIVA tournament to advance to the NCAA tournament, being St. Francis in 3 games. And Coach, how would you assess your team's play tonight?
I thought we played pretty clean. I think we continued the play that we had against Princeton. And I think that Luke Braswell did a great job. Got to give credit to Ryan Walthall and Colin McMillan again. They did a fantastic job with their offensive and defensive game plans. And, I think our guys executed it very well. And great crowd tonight for us. And the energy in the gym, I think, just fed off. Our guys just fed off of that energy. So it was a fun night in West Hall tonight.
Yeah, and Coach, I do want to ask you about the crowd atmosphere, because it seemed like, you have great fan support every year, but this year in particular, it just seemed like there was a lot more students at your matches. How great was it to see all those students coming out?
It's a lot of fun. There's a group that calls themselves the Wrecking Crew. And the Wrecking Crew, it's spelled lowercase w, capital R, capital E, capital C for Rec Hall. And they have just kind of adopted us. We've adopted them. There's a great chemistry between that group of students, and it's growing regularly. The chemistry between them and our guys, it's fun to watch. It's nice to have them in the gym. It makes it even much more fun to play for people that that are passionate about the effort that you put in.
Yeah. And Coach, I want to ask you about this match in particular with Luke Braswell, because a little bit of an interesting dynamic. He's going up against his brother. I want to ask, did you sense that there was any additional emotion for him tonight, playing against his older brother?
That's probably one that Luke can answer better than I, but I would imagine there is. We had the serving target that we wanted to go at was not Stephen Braswell, but Luke's first serve was at Stephen, so I think that's Luke just pointing his nose at his older brother.
Well, Coach, I also, we talked about the offense a little bit. You guys hit .418, but one player who I'd like to ask you about and didn't get to talk to you about the last time we reviewed is Royce Clemens, who had 10 digs tonight. How nice is it to have someone in the back row right there who just seems to be able to dig up anything that comes his way?
Royce has been putting in a lot of work. His game is steadily improving. Early on in the season, I think that was one of the things that Royce understood. He had to get better at not just digging the easy ball. Let's face it, ball goes up in the air off the block, and you can take a few steps forward. That's the easy dig. Royce is starting to understand what he needs to do, and with his athletic ability to make tough dig, the dig that liberos are supposed to make, where it's them versus the hitter, the one-on-one challenges. And I think he's just getting better with it. And that's more than that. I thought he passed the ball pretty well tonight. St. Francis has a couple of servers, and Braswell and Danny Ford and Jeff Hogan that can get on the ball pretty well. Michael Fisher, and I thought we did a fairly good job of handling their serving.
And Coach, I want to ask you about your team, because you guys started the season in Columbus. And, potentially you're going to be back there depending on where the NCAA tournament playing matches are. So how is your team different compared to January to right now?
We're healthy. And we have a group together that has been able to train together. And, what's funny is when we went to Columbus in January, we played those 2 matches with the group that we have now, and it was not the intention, because Lee Smith was out with a sprained ankle and didn't make the trip in Columbus. And Lee was one of our 2 starting outside hitters, and then against Santa Barbara here the first weekend of March, Lee tears his ACL and is gone for the year. And lo and behold, we have the same group that we had at the beginning of the year. So eventually, when everybody came through their injuries and rehab, it's been nice to have the same lineup for 2-3 weeks now, and more so in the training gym than anything else. And so I think that's been the big difference, Ben. You just kind of settled in and have everybody that we need back and healthy.
Yeah. And, Coach, I do want to ask, obviously when you win any type of championship, it's a big deal, lots of emotion. But is this championship a little bit more special for you just because of all the injuries you had to go through and the fact that you guys didn't win last year?
I think what it does is it shows this young crew. We only had Nugent and Callaway seniors. We only have Albrecht and Penrose and Gear as juniors. So out of our 17, 12 are first and second year players. I think it showed the group a little bit about what resiliency is about. When things don't go your way, you can't fold up the tent. You got to keep working. People have to step up and be prepared to be on the court and contribute at a certain level. It's very common knowledge. I don't care what team you are, that if you don't perform at a certain level, you're going to lose. And I think that the pressure to perform every day in practice that was put on us by the injury bug, I think that started to pay off. And I think the guys look at themselves right now and say, we've had a lot thrown at us this year. We can start punching back right now. And I think they're pretty comfortable with everything, all the work that they've put in. And I think that's what this championship signifies to me, that it really was the growth of a team that trusted a process and understood that, here's what you got to do on a day in and day out basis. And the things you can't control, you don't worry about. You just control the controllables and be ready to go, whatever that may be. And I think that's the biggest lesson. It's kind of satisfying, I guess, from a coaching standpoint, to see this group of young men kind of learn that lesson a little bit. You kind of see that no matter how things go and are stacked against you, you just keep doing what you're doing and believe in the process, believe in each other, and see where it takes you. Are we going to be good enough, in another week or so